Alright, so while I'm making people angry today with my fandom, let me go ahead and make them angrier by stating from 30 to 1 the most likely teams to win the Stanley Cup this year. Based on right now, they're number 30, the Avalanche. They're number 29, Arizona. Number 28, Dallas. Number 27, Vancouver. I'm not even going to justify these ones because they're not making the playoffs. Number 26, Detroit. I know they won today. They're still 26. 25, Carolina. 25, 24 is New Jersey. 23 is the Jets. Prove me wrong, Winnipeg. Make the playoffs, please. 22 is Buffalo, who are still on the outside looking in. There's a lot of teams to pass. I don't know that they have a realistic shot. 21, shockingly, is Tampa, because even with the win today, Tampa's in a really rough place. There's just this huge schmozzle of teams down there, and I don't know that they can rise above it and get that wild card spot. I just don't see it. Number 20. So the bottom 10 are pretty easy. Number 20, I have the Islanders. I think the Islanders can make the playoffs. Whether or not they can do anything when they make it, if they make it, if they somehow sneak in, I have suspicions with their goaltending. I have suspicions with Andrew Ladd having a prominent role with the team. Their blue line, if Hamonick's not back. There's a lot of things with the Islanders, and then even if Hamonick's back, he's 100%. 19th, LA. Much the same. I don't know that their goaltending could survive some kind of Stanley Cup run. There's a lot of players on this team that are not what they were the last time they won the Stanley Cup, so I just don't see it. 18th, I have Toronto. They're too young. They're too young. I just can't see it. 17, I have the Flyers. They're last I saw beating Vancouver 3-2, and if they can get their goaltending together, they get bumped up this list quite a bit and probably make the playoffs. 17, I have Calgary. Again, it's goaltending. Goaltending. The consistent goaltending and consistent defense, or else they're just not getting there. So they were 16th. Yeah, they're 16th. 15th, Florida. Florida's in a playoff spot. I know they've been really good over the last few weeks. Yager has been dead in the playoffs for the last half decade. Luongo has started to look his age, and Reimer, asked Toronto Maple Leafs fans about Reimer in the playoffs, and you'll probably watch them have a fit. I just don't see Florida having what's necessary for a long playoff run. I just don't. 14, I have Nashville. We're in a similar spot. I don't know that Rene can take a team to any kind of Stanley Cup glory. He can get them through a round, though, and with guys like Arvidsson up front and some of the players they have, I could see Nashville going on a bit of a run, but that ultimate goal, that Stanley Cup. 13, I have St. Louis. I want to say anything but goaltending here, don't I? Adding Mike Yeo will help them short term, and has. Long term and in the playoffs, I really don't know that they can win a 7-game series. Number 12, I have Boston. They've been playing a lot better. They get a big win tonight in San Jose. They are unbeaten under their new coach. It's been tons of fun to watch them, and they're way better than they were under Julian. And I don't care what the Hockey News says, they're playing much better. Hockey News says, no, they were playing great under Julian. No, they weren't. 11, I have the Senators. Senators are far too inconsistent for me to put them in the top 10 for a Stanley Cup run right now, but they're far too inspirational for me to drop them below the Bruins. So, that being said, top 10. I'll let the Oilers fans celebrate, but this is with a large asterisk. McDavid hasn't played a playoff game in his NHL career. He is a premier talent in the NHL. He's fantastic. But that being said, this is a tough call. I couldn't justify putting them lower than 10th because there's too much talent here now. And Cam Talbot's the kind of goalie who can go on a huge run. We'll see. Number 8, I have Columbus. I can't put Columbus any higher because they've never won a playoff round. They haven't shown anything in the playoffs yet. Tortorella, I have internal doubts about Tortorella in the playoffs and being able to keep his cool. So that's an issue. They're 9th. Yeah, I don't know why I have such a hard time keeping track of counting. There. 8, I have the Canadiens. They go a lot higher if Carey Price can be Carey Price, and if we run into a situation where Claude Julien really gets this team playing as a team. If he can re-inspire them, reinvigorate them, these guys go top 5 pretty quick. Remember, this is just right now. This is not going into the playoffs or anything, because playoffs are a while or ways off. 7 is the Rangers. The Rangers are... I said in a video earlier today, I cheer for the Rangers. I enjoy the Rangers. It would be nice to see them win a Stanley Cup, and that's coming from a guy who wanted to just shoot himself when they won the Stanley Cup in 1994. So things have changed quite a bit in the last 23 years for me to say, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the Rangers win the Stanley Cup. And number 6, and this is weird because my Stanley Cup pick at the start of the year, and still my Stanley Cup pick, the Washington Capitals. But if the playoffs started today, I would think they'd be the 6th most likely. A franchise that has had a hard time getting past round 2 as much for as long as the Washington Capitals cannot be viewed as a top 5 contender until they get over that hump. For me, they can't be viewed as a top 5 contender. They're just not there. And until they show they can at least make the conference final, I don't have the ability to put them there and in any kind of realistic fashion when I'm faced with the teams I'm faced with. So number 5 is the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks move up quite a bit if they can find the right Reynolds at the deadline. If they can find the right Reynolds at the deadline and they can stay healthy and they can go on a bit of a run and solidify their position just in general. Avoid games like last night. Like, I know Talbot stole the game, but Chicago was a team that wouldn't allow a goaltender to steal a game against them a few years ago. They need to get back to being that team. Till then, they're behind the Ducks, and I want them to be ahead of the Ducks. For me, right now, the Ducks are due. They're due for a big run. They're due for a redemption of Randy Carlyle storyline, and I don't want it. I'm not a Randy Carlyle fan either. But I really this shows there's no bias in this because I can't stand the Ducks. 3, Minnesota. Mark Boudreau was a player a long time ago. Bruce Boudreau was a player a long time ago as well. Bruce Boudreau, I'm thinking Mark Bureau. Bruce Boudreau as a coach, Game 7 is his nemesis. And until he wins a Game 7, I can't have Minnesota ahead of 3rd. But with the way they've been playing, I can't put them below 3rd. Minnesota has been playing the best hockey in the league all year. And they have kept to it, stuck to it, and they've been fantastic. So I can't have them lower. I can't. And these jerks, they lost tonight, and I can't stand them either. And I have them at number 2 because maybe I secretly hate myself, but they went to the Stanley Cup final last year. Sure, they lost, and there's plenty of teams who lose, and then they go back and they win later. There are teams that don't, but there are teams that do, and I have a horrible sinking feeling that the San Jose Sharks could win the Stanley Cup this year because the hockey gods really, truly hate me. And number 1, with a bullet, still. Until somebody knocks off the defending champions, they are the defending champions. They are the number 1 team. Tell me why they're not the number 1 team right now, and don't just point at the Detroit loss today and say, oh, I lost to Detroit. Depth, speed, superstardom, goaltending, defense, offense, everything says these guys are the best. And I don't like it. But because I like parity. I like seeing somebody new win the Stanley Cup. I've been a big fan for many years of seeing a team win its first Stanley Cup. There's something special to a franchise winning its first Stanley Cup, and that's the one thing I will give San Jose. If they win a Stanley Cup this year, I will say, well, they finally won their first. That is, a moment, and you never know if you're going to win a second. So that moment of that first is that important. Anyways, you guys can let me know in the comments below why I'm wrong. You can let me know how wrong I am. And I know I've been dealing with this over the last week or so, and I get it. If you are a fan of a team that's in a playoff spot currently or has been playing really well lately, you automatically look and go, we can win in the playoffs. We can win the Stanley Cup. I love the enthusiasm. I love the positivity. I do. But for me, I have to look at it just from a nuts and bolts point and say, okay, which ones are really in the contender spot? Which ones have done it before and are more likely to do it again? Which one has the core that knows how to win, and which one is still learning how to win? Which one's going to be good later? Like Florida. Florida's likely going to be very good 2 years down the road. With the right moves, Florida could be one of those teams that dominates. They have to do, the advanced stats are fine. They have to also have your standard metrics and some other things mixed in with it. I think there's a mishmash that goes on with the really excellent teams, and they're able to figure it out. And Florida's still in the process of figuring that out. Ownership can't meddle. In general, most teams that are, successful franchises, ownership doesn't meddle. And coaching decisions in terms of who's getting what ice time, owners just stay out of it. And that's what a good owner should do. Let your coach coach. Let your GM do his job and acquire the players that he feels will fulfill the role that's needed on the team. And if you have any concerns, you can talk to your GM, but you shouldn't really overrule your GM, because then you're just undermining your GM. So anyways, that's it for that soapbox. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you're just on your way through and want to come back and take another look later. It's a popular thing to do. Liking and subscribing right now on my channel has just gone through the roof, and I owe everybody a great deal. And I posted my first patron-only video tonight on Patreon. So that's something. That's a thing that's actually happened. And yeah, I enjoyed doing that. It was a little, tour the townhouse kind of thing, and kind of a fun little thing. And I'll be sure to be doing more stuff like that in the coming days and weeks. So yeah, 3-2.
Yeah.
All right, game's over. Canucks lose 3-2. Their position in terms of being Stanley Cup favorites stays the same. The Flyers' position in this deck of wonders stays the same. And thanks to Yvonne for these stickers, because they've been very useful as props for today. And I don't know if I'm ever going to use them as actual stickers. I may use them as props from here on out, because it's actually kind of cool just having these handy, so I can use these as an example of here's where my thinking lies. And it keeps me a little more organized than I sometimes am when I get off topic. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you all again tomorrow.